for straight science, and you have a lot of competition out there with a nice, warm, sunny weather.
I think so. So since there's so few of us and half of us are who I brought with me, if you have any questions, please just stop me in the middle and I can answer them on that slide because I'm not sure how well I'm going to do with this little touchpad. So I'm going to talk to you today about chaos in the Arctic, and it's mostly going to be about how we're studying a whole lot of different fields of science to try to get an idea of what's going on with the Chukchi Sea. So I'm giving the talk. I'm from the Alaska Fisheries Science Center down in Seattle. I'm an acoustician with the National Marine Mammal Lab. But this talk is research from a lot of different people, most notably Jeff Knapp, who's also at the Alaska Fisheries Science Center, and he does a lot of work with zooplankton and fisheries, and Phyllis Stabenow and Nguyen Wang, who are with the Pacific Marine Environmental Lab, and they do a lot of the oceanography and climate modeling, and Chris Clark, who's at Cornell University. So I'm going to be talking about a trio of projects that were all funded by the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management. It used to be the Minerals Management Service at one point. The first is CHAOS. It's sort of the keystone of our projects, and it stands for the Chukchi Acoustics, Oceanography, and Zooplankton Study. And the reason we came up with this acronym is my job is to listen in the water for marine mammals. And the first time I listened in Arctic waters, it was just a cacophony of sounds from all different sources, mostly marine mammals, and I just thought, this is chaos. How are we ever going to figure it out? It's taken us quite a while, but that it's not to be facetious or anything like that. It really is chaotic as far as the acoustics goes in the Arctic. So CHAOS just wrapped up. We turned in our final report last week. And it's available for anybody who is interested. If you go to our website, I think you can find it. If not, my email address is at the beginning, and I can give that to you. So it's been taken over by two projects, the CHAOS Extension Project, which kind of stretched the goals of CHAOS up into Hannah Shoal, and the ArcWest Project, which is the Arctic whale ecology study. And that is what we're leaving on our cruise for tonight. So all these projects share some common objectives, and mostly it's trying to figure out where the marine mammals are and when they're there. And then on the other hand, we're trying to figure out if that's changing at all, and if so, how do the oceanographic parameters, how oceanographic conditions are changing that, as well as how changes in prey are changing that as well, and furthermore, just the influence of man up there, especially with the industrial activity starting. The differences between the projects are that, so the CHAOS project was mostly in the Chukchi lease area, so off Icy Cape, it's right between the Berger and Klondike lease areas, and that was basically its focus. The differences between ArcWest and CHAOS X are that ArcWest looks at the currents that are going up through the Bering Strait and basically going along that pink line towards the Barrow Arch area. Whereas CHAOS Extension looks at the waters that are going up through Bering Strait and are modified as they go around Harold Shoal and Hannah Shoal.
Hannah Shoal is the one kind of directly in between, right?
There.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. That's usually where the ice sticks in the summertime.
Sure.
If there's ice up there, that's where it's going to be stuck.
Okay.
So we've got some additional project objectives. The first is determine the Chukchi Sea noise budget, and basically what this is usually people that are making noise in the ocean have a limit. They say don't go above a certain noise level and you'll be okay. But the problem with the Chukchi Sea is there's a lot of people up there making a lot of noise, and that starts adding up. So the question is, how do all those noise sources add up, and what is sort of the overall level that's produced? So Chris Clark and the Cornell folks are coming up with a model that can try to say, okay, if there's a source here, a source here, a source here, this is what the effect's going to be in areas where marine mammals are going to be concentrating. And in addition to this, they have an auto detection buoy. It's a surface buoy, so it's only during the open water season that when it's deployed. But it sends real-time information back to their offices in New York, and it basically can track different whales. Is there a bowhead there or not? But we're really hoping it can be used to be a mitigation tool to be able to say, okay, well, the noise levels have exceeded a certain amount, your operation have to cease, or they can sort of juggle that. And this is actually being used in Boston, in Massachusetts right now. They have a series of these that go by, and they can track the noise from ships and be able to shut down different things and slow ships down. The second thing is to assess the population structure and origin of the whales in the region. This was mostly a goal of our tagging operations, which we are not doing this year, just to try to get tags on these whales and figure out where they go and when they go, and what populations they're from. And then finally, the CHAOS project had, when Wang was doing climate modeling on basically future ice concentrations. So we've had 6 field survey crews. This is our last cruise of these 3 projects. And there are basically 3 methods that we use during our cruises. And I'll go through what we've done in the past, what we're doing for the cruise this year, and some results that we're seeing from our CHAOS cruises. So basically we do mooring deployments, we do sampling, and we also do underway surveys. So first are the moorings. Come on in. So these are basically, they have an anchor on the bottom. They have a float on the top. The float rests below the surface, usually about 20 to 30 meters below the surface. And it's got instrumentation on it. So the main instrumentation that's on there is oceanographic. So it measures temperature, salinity, pressure, oxygen, nutrients, chlorophyll, all that stuff that oceanographers like to know. And basically these stay down, we put them in, they record for an entire year. After the year's over, we go pick them up, get the data out of them, put a new one down, it keeps going. So in addition to those oceanographic measurements, there's also some other parameters that we measure. The first is sound, so we're listening for sounds, we're recording everything that we're getting. This includes all the marine mammals, also anthropogenic noises like air guns and vessel noise, and also just environmental noise like ice and wind and things like that. The ADCP is basically a current meter. It measures the speed of the currents going over the top of the moorings. Ice Profiler measures the depth of the ice keels that are going past it. And then the TAPS is this instrument here, and it's kind of like an upside down fish finder, and it looks for the zooplankton going by. This is where we've had our moorings over the years. Like I said, CHAOS was just on that icy Cape line. The 2 other projects are divided by colors. So Arc West was the waters that go from the Bering Strait up to Barrow Arch, so they're the yellow ones. And then the CHAOS X project is looking at the waters going around Hannah Shoal, and those are the red ones. The differences in symbols are that the triangles are just listening, whereas the stars have that full complement of all those parameters that we're measuring. So this year, these 3 moorings are coming out, so the 2 on Hannah Shoal and the 1 offshore of Wainwright. And this one's just going to switch to a listening only. And then one other one I want to point out is this one way off the slope. It has a noise reference station on it. So people that are studying sound in all the NOAA centers in the country have put these out in the U.S. Economic Zone, the EEZZ. So this is the one that we have in the Arctic, and it's basically designed to really pick up ambient noise and be able to measure the changes of that throughout the country and also over time. So we're hoping to keep this going for many years. And then one other thing to mention about the Arc West project, these yellow symbols, is that we do have moorings that go all the way down into the Bering Sea, all the way to Unimak Pass. So we're able, with these, to track migrations of whales, such as the bowhead, so we can watch them from Barrow all the way to where they're coming down here, where the North Pacific right whale critical habitat is, and we do hear them down there quite often. These symbols with the dots on them in the Bering Sea are ones that have been deployed by Phyllis Stabenow for over 2 decades now, collecting oceanographic information.
Are you able to get any information from the military at Fairway Rock?
From the military for what?
For their listening station?
So you can. There is one scientist at University of Washington that can. You need a security clearance for it, and then you can't really say where and when you're getting your information. So it's very broad scale.